everyone, welcome to Hope for Survival YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate your time. I had the fortune of running into one of my favorite brothers, Brother Otis, again. Amazing how we just keep ending up the same spot.
Bumping into each other in the mountains with the bear warning signs. I mean, it's just crazy.
It's hotter than hot.
Whew. Stupid hot.
It's like stupid hot. I call it Africa hot.
Yeah.
It's like Africa hot. And we had a few minutes to spare away from everything and everyone else, and we've been having a lot of conversations, sidebar, on a lot of topics, and we're going to hit on a couple of videos to have some brief discussions on these topics of interest. So the very first one I wanted to talk to with Brother Otis is, if you wind back a few months, we talked about, and I showed you the Blue Eddy and the Jackery and the Oops solar generators, and I bought some of the system, and Brother Otis here bought some into the system as well. And actually we were discussing it, and he's actually been doing some testing on it, and he wanted to share it with us. So what are you finding out? Share what you shared with me.
What we did, if you read further into the manual on operating the OOPS systems, what we found was to store it for long-term storage, the procedure on how you were supposed to do it. And the procedure consisted of, you were supposed to charge the unit to 100%. If you had any spare batteries, any add-ons to go with it, charge them to 100%. Then once a quarter, you're supposed to run it all the way down to 0, run it back up to 100% on your gen and your extra battery, if you have one, and then run it down to 60 before you actually store it. And you're supposed to do this once a quarter, and that really prolongs your battery life. So we decided to take that even a step further, and my father and I, we were experimenting with his setup in a 22 cubic foot freezer in his garage with no input power to replenish anything. We just wanted to see how long the system fully charged would last. So we started out with the 100% charge on the Meg 3 and one battery that goes with it. And this is what we reviewed previously, the same setup. And we ran it to go down to the 0 charge, and we timed it. Now, this is a 22 cubic foot freezer. That's the only thing that was plugged in it. We had no solar panels, no shore power, anything replenishing. And it was in a unclimate controlled 2-car garage. So it took 56 hours to run it down to 0 charge with no input power coming in to replenish the solar generator or the backup battery that goes with it. Then, you know, we unhooked it, we charged it back up to the 100%, and then we hooked it back to the refrigerator to run both units down to the 60. And of course, it will pull on your battery first before it actually goes to the internal battery on the solar generator. So we ended up having to disconnect that so that we could finish pulling the solar gen down to 60 first, or secondly. That way we could go ahead and put them up for storage. And it worked great. It totally powered that freezer, nobody's business, everything stayed good and cold, but it did. It took 56 hours to totally run it down to 0. We were very impressed.
What was the...
It's 22 cubic foot, that's a big freezer.
Yeah. In the uncontrolled climate garage, what was the approximate temperature in there, do you know? Daytime would be a little different than night, but...
It's on the west side of the house, so it wasn't horrible till the afternoon, and then it would heat up in there almost the same as ambient outside temperature because it's really uninsulated. So I'm going to say it would probably, in the coolest range, be in the upper 60s, in the hottest range in the 90s, because we just did this 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So it was hot. But we were very impressed, very impressed. Now, when we reviewed the system earlier, we had also talked about the solar panels that you can get through OOPS. And they're like a trifold system that's in bags.
Lightweight.
They're very lightweight. They're really good if you wanted to go mobile. Sorry about that. We got some
good
some
for
neighbors.
travel.
Yeah.
We'll pause for just a sec.
Yeah.
We'll pick it up.
We'll start over again with that. We were talking about the solar panels that came with the OOPS system, and they're a super lightweight trifold system, and for mobile use they're awesome. They're great, but for a more permanent setup, which we're wanting to have the versatility for both, because we want to start using it to do all of our refrigeration to help pay for the stuff with energy savings. We went a little bit different route. We ordered some used solar panels from a company in Florida, and we kind of did a little bit of a group buy with three of us, and we bought a whole pallet, 27 375 watt helium monocrystalline panels, and they're only 2 years old. They still come with warranty. They're already pre-wired, so you can daisy chain them together, and then you just got to have one long wire to bring into the house. And so far, I mean, they're pretty nice. We're getting our frame system set up, and we're going to test those, and then we'll get back with another video. But we got a really good deal on them by buying them used.
Yeah.
And doing a group buy, of course, larger purchasing power.
I know some folks in East Tennessee also bought the pallets.
Yeah.
Of slightly used.
Yeah,
They
these
got a
were
good price on them.
These were from a company called Clean Energy Partners, and they were out of Florida. Super great people. They were very helpful. They even gave us links to where we could order the rest of the wiring to get it to be able to bring the power into the house. I mean, they were super helpful.
This heat wave that we're going through right now, that I think we're in, is about going into week 5, week 4.
I think the whole month of June in Georgia was over 90, but
which we talked about months prior to it. But one of the things I would really encourage anyone to do is, if you already have solar setups, whatever you have for your alternative backup power, now is the time you need to be testing it against what your plan is. If you're going to run your house, if you're going to run your fridge and freezer, if you're going to run your air conditioning,
your
fans,
backup water, whatever.
Now's the time while you can pick the phone up and call to ask questions or to get any repairs if it doesn't work, if you can't fix it yourself.
Extreme heat and extreme cold put more pressure on your system. They tax it harder. So now, while we still have the opportunity to upgrade, to add to, whatever, fix, especially if it tears up, now is the time to do your testing.
Because if you don't have any kind of backup power, if you spend all day, half a day, if you spend it out in this heat, say working a garden or doing other tasks, enclosed structures, maybe mechanics, whatever it is, when the sun goes down in the evening each day, you're going to need some type of cooling, whether it's cool water, cool shower, a fan blowing on you. You're going to need it, because it's going to, even if you physically can handle it, it's going to be mentally taxing on you. And I mean, we're here for a few days here in western North Carolina where we're at, and we're seeing the heat taking tolls on people who they're not hydrating, and they're just simply they're mentally not prepared. It's everyday life, right? We go through everyday life, and they're making absolutely no mental notes as to
what they need to be doing to prepare for
Yeah.
situations like this.
Need to be doing water. I haven't gone to the bathroom and peed in 5 hours.
Yeah, something's wrong.
Something's wrong, right?
I'm not taking enough hydration for what I'm sweating out.
Yeah. But if you have the UPA system or Jackery, whatever you may
Whatever
have,
system you have, period.
you
gotta
really
test.
need to be drilling it and running checks on it to see. One of the biggest mistakes I see that people make when they're buying these portable solar generators or systems. Mentally, it's like big takes care of all, right? And they don't sit and actually calculate. These are the 5 things I want to have available to work.
How am I going to run the wire to make it work?
And okay, and now you're without power, and it's 15 degrees or it's 100 degrees or whatever. And guess what?
It ain't working.
I didn't read the detail because why will my solar generator, it's on 100%, why will it not power what I was planning to power? So, what do you offer?
One of the things, had we not have read through the manual more, and I credit my father with a lot of this, we would not have known the storage process. A lot of people buy them, charge them, set them away, and they don't ever use them again. They never look at it again. You're killing the life cycle of your battery. You have to look at your storage procedure with whatever unit you get, and they may all be different. I'm not sure because I've only evaluated one system so far, which we're going to get a different system as well to have another backup. But the OOPS system, you have to cycle it every quarter, and that's part of your storage process to prolong your battery life so that you can get as many charging cycles as you can out of it. And if you're just going to put it back and not use it, and you want it for the just in case, you got to read your procedure in your manual on how to do that. I've got a friend who's got one. They bought it, they charged it, they've never used it, and it hurt their battery cycle. So you have to read more into it and take care of your equipment and test it. Find out what it'll do. Another buddy of mine bought one, and he was going to try and run his well pump on it, and it was just too small of a unit. It wouldn't do it. So he's having to either change his well pump and get a different one that's more efficient, or he's going to have to buy a whole lot bigger solar gen. So
Which one was he using, do you know?
it was one of the Blue Eddies.
Okay.
I want to say like a 2000. I'm not sure the exact model number. I know it was a lot smaller than the one that I bought, and I bought the Meg 3, which is like a 37. And it wouldn't do it. It just wouldn't do his. But he had an older school 220 volt pump for his well, and it just wouldn't do it.
Was he running the pump all the time versus on a timer?
He just had it hooked into it where it was on a tank, and as it,
Okay.
the tank was the timer.
Yeah. So how if you're running solar as your backup to become your primary, and you're planning on running a hot water heater, you better double check your numbers and plan really, really close and plan really, really good, because that hot water heater is the highest demanding
It is. Next to your oven, that hot
component.
water, it pulls some juice.
Around the clock.
Yeah.
Because with your oven,
It's short.
It's going to be on demand.
Yeah.
Right? Where a lot of people, their hot water heaters are not on timers, and it just heats and cools.
Yeah.
Versus hot water on demand.
I got a friend who made a pre-hot water heater. He took 2 old glass doors and he ran his pipe inside of it like an old radiator accordion, and he painted everything black, and he put it outside on his roof, and it would take his incoming water and it would preheat it before it dropped it into the hot water heater. So it was already over 100 degrees before it ever went in there, and it made his unit a lot more efficient. Now he had to bypass it in the wintertime, but
Yeah.
it helped him a lot.
Anything else you want to add to that?
To the OOPS review, no, I believe that's pretty good on that one.
I'm hoping
More to come.
I'm hoping this fall. I really want to.
More to come.
I'm hoping by this fall, if everything works out, I'm wanting to get all the different ones, and I'm wanting to get them away from the house, out in the field.
Do a big review in the
just
in the
test
open.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll have more to come on that. I'll leave it at that. But all right. And if you got any questions, please leave them in the comment section below, or you can email me at preparedness101@protonmail.com. You can go back in the YouTube videos. It was probably in the 170s, the number of video, actually maybe 160s. I think this is like video 183 or 184, something like that. But reach out and ask a question. You can go to the OOPS website as well, have great information there, or
Sign up for their email list.
Yeah.
They send tons of sale prices out.
and they have a very good price product line.
Yeah.
I was very pleased with it, and it, it's all opinions. There's some who are sold on this, and some who are sold on that. This meets my need, that meets my need. But there's also people who can write a $10,000, $20,000 check, $30,000 check, and those who can't. And that's no disrespect. It's just life and choice.
Yeah, I'm having to build my system as I can afford it.
Choice,
so
right?
Do it in pieces.
So we're trying to split up topics.
That was you.
That it?
Yeah.
We're doing everything from talking about the square Earth to 3D AI birds to
Testing bibbies.
testing Bivy satellite stick. We're kind of doing a little bit of it all. And that ding you just heard was me sending a satellite text message to a non-satellite flip phone, because up here where we're at,
On the backside of a mountain with very minimal signals at all.
there's like minimal signal up here. So anyway, we thought we would give that a shot as well. I don't worry about it working bivy to bivy. We've proven that it's pretty reliable. So one of the things we've been talking about, and a lot of it is, some would say conspiracy, and they only say it's conspiracy because they haven't done their homework.
Yeah.
Because there is enough really super smart people out there over the last years who are talking about this topic, and those who look at you weird, they simply
It's because they don't know.
they don't know.
They don't do their homework. They keep their head in the sand.
Yeah. Or they're in denial.
Yeah, they don't want to know.
What would be the best phrase or terminology for this topic? What are they not telling us?
Yeah, that.
Or-
What are they not telling us? Or events that are not man-made. You know,
Natural. Yep.
all natural events. I don't remember exactly what I was studying at the time that piqued my interest, but it was probably 10 years ago, and I ran across something that really piqued my interest about things that are strong enough to change life on Earth as we know it. And man itself, in my opinion, there's only a couple things that man can do to actually affect the Earth, because we just don't have the strength or the power. You know, of course, you know
On that size scale.
yeah, on a personal basis. So I got to doing a lot of research on my own, and one of the things I checked into was Dr. Arthur Casey's book on the Ice Age, because it has happened before, and the things that that really cause the largest, most powerful things in our environment are the sun. The sun is really the only thing that is powerful enough to make these giant changes on its own. So in reading his book, it talked about the 200, 400, the 2,000 and 8,000 year cycles. And then David Dubine, got a bear down there in the woods? Brother B.E. here had put an article on the newsletter, and it's probably been 6 months ago. I don't exactly remember when, but it was an article, and I'm pretty sure it was David Dubine. It was a NASA article about how once every 8,000 years in the solar system's rotation, the Earth, in comparison to the sun, in comparison to the rest of our planets in our solar system, the Earth will be forward. So the gravitational pull of the sun and all the other planets will be behind us. And this happens very, very rarely. But it will pull an immense amount of space junk into Earth. You know, small rocks, big rocks, whatever. But when they're coming at that kind of trajectories and speeds, it can make a mess. And I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if it's true. I just know that NASA knows a lot more about that stuff than I do. Brother Otis is only so smart. But I am smart enough to look into things when I see someone else smarter than me says it could happen. So some of the predictions are that we may see some of that this fall of 2024, but the majority of it will be late winter, spring of 2025. I hope it don't happen. I hope the new Space Force that they've got is going to protect us against it. But it could. If you'll notice, there are quite a few countries who are preparing for some kind of event. I don't know what kind of event they're preparing for, but they've gotten multiple seed vaults now. And they're storing every kind of seeds you can think of, from vegetables to trees. Why are they doing that? What do they know that we don't know? I'm sure their satellites and their telescopes are a lot better than my old field glasses. So if they're taking enough interest to preserve some things, why shouldn't I? It's very interesting articles.
I just find it, it's not conspiratorial, it's fact.
Yeah, it could be very factual.
I just find it very interesting. I find it very interesting that in the early 80s, well, since World War II, the number of farms we had in World War II to current day, there's like 2 to 4% of those farms left in America.
A personal farm, personally owned.
I just find it interesting that since at least the early 1980s, when they started Farm Aid, when John Cougar Mellencamp and Willie Nelson started raising money for all these farmers, is so for the last 40 plus years, why is the federal government, one of their most important roles is to protect the people. And protecting the people is not just through a military perspective, it is also having clean drinking water, it is having plenty of food to feed the people. We went through a series between the Clinton era coming forward to where from the Clinton era to where it's with no explanation to the American people at all. Not just all the jobs were being exported out because it was cheaper wages, but all of our food, right? So now we have less safeguards on the food production that's being done at cheaper wages outside the country. And especially after 9/11, when we were going through the whole war on terrorism, we can debate the whole Patriot Act came in because that's a whole nother topic. if we're fighting a war on terrorism, why are we moving so much of our food production outside the United States, where we have less controls, we have less monitoring capability, and we don't know from Adam who's working these lines,
And what they're putting on them.
packaging the food. Oh, well, we have barcodes, and from the time they load it on the truck in Guatemala, we monitor it all the way to Walmart in Omaha. Right. But what about before it got in the can, right? So anyway, point being, it's like our government has taken a less proactive role in the food productivity in our country, and that's a question as to why. Oh well, they want to kill us. Well, let's stay off of conspiracies for a second, right? So then it was all, well, they're spraying all of our farms. They're spraying all of our farms, and when I first started thinking about it, it's like, well, crud, man, they're spraying poison on all of our foods, right? And there was lawsuits against Monsanto.
Glyphosate, yeah.
They sold out. There was tons of pressure on the farmers south of the border to spray the crops down there. But this thought popped up in my head, and I'm not in like the top 99% of my graduating class, okay? What I'm wondering is the sprays that they were putting on crops, was it to some degree testing to identify some form, because the earth is hotter, the soil is hotter, good soil is being depleted, so growing food is going to be harder, right? And if these other things in these cycles, we go through the heat and then into like an ice age era, crops are not going to grow.
Not going to grow the same way that they have anyway.
So are they like coating crops with some form of protection to protect them above the soil, to see if that is going to be a possibility in time? I don't know. I just want to see all sides possibly of what we're going to be what we are up against.
I know that just in the small hobby farming that I do, that things have changed the way that they're growing.
Noticed it big time this year.
Like I bought some more blueberry bushes to go in my little blueberry patch. And before I could even get them in the ground, some of them were dying like there was something wrong with them already.
Yeah.
Not this year because I didn't have much of a garden, but the previous couple years I had the hardest time growing potatoes that you've ever seen. And usually I can grow them like nobody's problem, And then I had a hard time with cucumbers. And those usually grow great. Now this year we're having, my friend of mine's having real good success with cucumbers, so I got a ton of them. But he who controls the food controls the populace. So I'm wondering what is really going on behind the scenes that pertains to that. People that are hungry will do a lot of things they wouldn't normally do.
Yeah.
And they'll submit to a lot of things they wouldn't normally submit to.
They'll sell their souls for a meal.
Yeah, especially if it's their kids that are hungry.
Yeah. You wonder if there was some kind of hidden message behind back in the early 80s, if there was some kind of hidden message behind when President Reagan said, always remember your 9 meals from starvation.
Yep. If he wasn't telling you to find a way to be more prepared and self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Trusted him a lot more than a lot of them.
If you're not familiar with what we're talking about in this video, I would encourage you to check out David Dubyne, Dubyne, at Adapt 2030. I would Dane Wigington at I think it's geoengineering.net or .org, geoengineering. Check that out. And also Stan Deyo, Deyo, and Mike from around the world. You need to turn off the "this is crap" or "this is crazy talk," and you need to start doing your own research and decide for yourself. Because I'm telling you, these topics are gaining momentum, and if you can't look around and see, I mean, one of the easiest things to grow in a garden is squash and zucchini, right? And we had plentiful, but this will be year 3. The last 3 years, we have not been able to grow any squash or zucchini at our place in East Tennessee. It will not. I've tried growing it different ways.
See, I had that problem with potatoes. I don't know if it was the seed potatoes, if something had been done to them, or if it was my soil, if something had been done to it. But normally where they'll go, no problem. It wouldn't do nothing.
Yeah, well.
They were just rotting in the ground.
We'll know here in a couple of weeks because I'm getting ready to turn my
sweet potatoes?
No, I won't pull my sweet potatoes until September probably. Yeah. And last year was great. We had almost 70 pounds of sweet potatoes in raised beds.
Yeah.
But our Yukon Golds,
mm-hmm.
They've been in since the 1st of May, and they flowered just recently, and they're starting to brown. So I'm gonna check them here shortly and see. But I know 30 days ago they were doing pretty good. But it's just, is it the water? You know, we had tons of rain early on. Everything was really, really green. We've had to use tap water most recent. It has been brutally hot. Is it something that's been dropped that has settled into the soil? Because part of what we're growing is seeds from last year.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Some that you harvested.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to offer on this? Other than pay attention and learn about cycles.
One of the biggest things that Brother B.E. has taught me is always look at what's really happening instead of what they want you to see.
Yeah.
Always take that to heart. Always think, well, why is this trying to draw my attention? What's really going on?
I just talked about that in the last YouTube video. I think it was about.
It's very true.
And Festus reminded me of that in the conversation recently too. Is what you see and what you think
What's
you
the
see
real motive?
Are two different things.
Yep.
And you really, really, really need to have your feet grounded and have a very, very detailed imagination. And not Disneyland kind of imagination.
And always put your trust in a good Lord.
Amen. Amen.
That's the biggest thing. Make sure you're grounded there first.
I was showing Miss Lucy this morning when she was fixing breakfast here where we're at. I was talking about the unlikelihoods, right? I said, 5 years ago, who would have imagined Tucker Carlson not being the voice on Fox News? And now he has his own podcast that's booming. Hold that point. I started listening to a guy, I've shared sometimes, I started listening to this guy, podcaster, who's a former Special Forces guy, and He's out of Nashville. They've located to Nashville in the past couple of years. And about a year and a half ago, Sean Ryan's his name. I really like the guy. He dedicates a lot of time to former Special Forces guys that have had. He talks a lot about the battles they fought in, but also the recovery through the system that they may not be getting, and where they can go outside the U.S. and get PTSD treatment and funding lines for. One of the big things they're using now for treatments is a program that addicts you to heroin and takes you through what's traumatic, and then they wean you off of it, and it's been absolutely successful. Anyway, Sean Ryan announced that I heard in the last couple months that he is now a follower of Christ, right? And he is full speed ahead. But I was saying to Miss Lucy, it's like, what are the odds? Here's a podcast that just popped up on my phone of Tucker Carlson as a guest on Sean Ryan's show.
Yeah.
And they're talking about the Nephilim.
Yeah.
It's like a year ago you would never imagine.
Have thought that.
And it's like,
things are changing.
Yeah. All right, folks, we're going to get out of here.
About to get wet.
We're about to get wet, and we're trying to decide if we're going to like stand out in it with their arms up singing Hallelujah, because it is like brutally hot, and just the everyone needs some rain. The gardens need rain. The animals need rain. Everything needs rain. Fire prevention needs rain, and we need rain too. So thanks for your time. Thanks for watching.
As
Brother
always.
Otis. It's always good spending time together, man. And if you like this video, hit like, subscribe, share, comment, email, go visit the website. And I would strongly encourage you to, if you're just new to this, I would strongly encourage you to check out on the website, Hope for Survival, Book 1, Book 2. We don't keep any of the money. It all goes to charity. We donate it. Some of the first feedback when I wrote the first book in 2019, I think it was, from the first feedback I got on the book was from this guy right here. I don't know how many copies of the book he bought. He was giving them away.
I'm giving away so many copies of that one.
Yeah.
That first book is awesome. The second book is a little more for the advanced, but it's awesome too.
It's more psychological.
It's a little more for the advanced, but the first one applies to everyone.
Yeah.
So.
And he gave me good advice on book 2. He said, I read through book 1 and marked it up as more like a workbook. He said, but after I read book 2, he said, I went back and read book 1, and he said, I had a totally different understanding of what you're saying in book 1.
Yeah, they work together.
Yeah. And
but you definitely, book 2 is more advanced. You got to read book 1 first, then read book 2, then you're going to go back and read book 1 again. And it will help you to understand it even more deeply.
Yeah, they say it's kind of like running around the tree to get to the other side, and you just kind of forget which side you're on while you're trying to get your point across.
Exactly.
So, hey, stay blessed, and don't forget to give thanks out there. Till next time, Bravo Echo out.